Good evening, parents, families, teachers, friends, and fellow graduates. It's such an honor to be standing here tonight, so let's take a moment to celebrate something kind of amazing. We actually made it. The class of 2025 has officially graduated. We survived Google quizzes, late night studying, group projects with questionable group members, and more fire drills than ever necessary. Tonight we are here to celebrate with each other and the people who continue to help drag us across the finish line. Thank you for your patience, your encouragement, and in some cases, your strong coffee. It is my privilege tonight to introduce someone we all know and love, our valedictorian. Bernie isn't just a boy from Harrison, he's a one-man show, seriously. Whether he's lighting up the stage in the school play, singing three-pointers in basketball, or holding the boys' volleyball team together, he somehow makes it all happen. Bernie can turn a boring Monday English class into a comedy show without even trying. Fortunately, we've all had the chance to be a part of his audience. I know we're all looking forward to hearing from a classmate who is not only incredibly talented, but who reminds us that while we are doing great things, it's also important to have fun. Without further ado, it is my absolute honor to introduce the 2025 class valedictorian, Bernie Hale.
Thank you, Tori. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for your introduction and kind words. Fun fact, Tori and I met each other on our first day of high school, 4 years ago in the tech rotation class. I never would have thought that we'd end up here, sharing this stage tonight. I'm thrilled to have been given the opportunity to recap and summarize our time at Norwell. It makes me very happy to see all my fellow students, their parents and guardians, our teachers, our friends, and everyone in this crowd tonight, as we celebrate and recognize every student in the graduating class of 2025. Let's give ourselves a hand. As many of you may know, this is not my first time under the lights on this stage. Each year I've attended Norwell, I've spent a lot of my time up here during the Theatre Norwell's spring productions. And a number of you have acted right alongside me. In this year's production of Freaky Friday, I was cast in the role of Listmaster Adam, a teenage boy who loves his sandwiches. Not unlike myself, as most of my classmates can confirm. Students in the play know all too well that for weeks after the show is over, the songs stay stuck in your head, and it's near impossible to get them out. So for the past few weeks, I've had one song in particular bouncing off the walls of my mind. This song uses sandwiches as an analogy. So I decided to use my speech as an outlet to get this song out of my head, and do the same here. You won't be surprised to know that I only started hearing the song more. High school, folks. High school is just like a sandwich. And with that new analogy, I had no problem finding the perfect title for my valedictory speech: High School and Sandwiches. Every sandwich begins with the bread, the structure, the base. After some careful consideration and a few metaphorical bites of a sandwich later, I came to the conclusion that made the most sense. If a sandwich starts with the bread, that means the bread and the base of high school can only be education. We wouldn't be here if we didn't come to learn, do our homework, and get at least a few good grades. So there would be no sandwich at all without education and academics. Without it, this speech would be about salads rather than sandwiches. Today is the culmination of every class we've ever taken. Every one of Radcliffe, Suffern, or Aquino's math tests that we barely passed. Not to mention the early days of our high school careers that were spent in quads instead of semesters. It seems so long ago, possibly because a lot of us have been doing our best to forget Mr. L's 2.5-hour-long lessons on protons, neutrons, and the table of elements. Speaking with a strong bias though, no one had it harder than that year's grade 9 app class, which normally would have been 2 periods long, so put into quadmester format, we had to spend all day, every day, for 2.5 months, right here on the stage with no sunlight and with what felt like no heat. Miss Spencer did her best to keep us entertained and even recruited Miss Cribben to take us on daily walks before we got too rowdy. It seems we've come a long way since then, although I'm sure more than a few of our teachers wish they could send us out for a walk every once in a while. We've witnessed multiple staff members and teachers come and go through our 4 years here at Norwell. And we'll see a few more off to retirement this year as well. So I believe a quick round of applause is well deserved for Madame Smith, Madame Morgan, and Mr. Miller as they are graduating from Norwell. Now, a sandwich would be pretty dry and tasteless with just the bread. Kind of like high school with nothing but studying. And that's exactly why we add more ingredients, to make things more interesting. The meat of this high school sandwich is found outside of academics, what we choose to do in our spare time. Whether it was by your own choice or Miss Douglas's, each of us have been a part of a club, group, or team that we have devoted our time to for the past 4 years. And if somehow you haven't seized the opportunity to join or participate in the lunchtime club, you've no doubt heard of them from one of the many voices of the morning announcements. Which, by the way, will be looking for more volunteers, as most of those voices are of grade 12s. If you have a younger sibling, tell them to check it out. Just make sure they have good music taste for the daily hurry up song. Those office ladies can be a tough crowd if it's not a banger. My experience with the announcements for the past few years has allowed me to become quite knowledgeable about what goes on at Norwell during lunchtime. There's Mr. Vane's Dungeon Crawlers Club, where you can bring your lunch and continue your Dungeons & Dragons campaign. There's almost always math help in room 207. Best Buddies meets before lunch every so often for a craft and a snack. Student Council meets to ensure the Varsity Reds have lots of events to show off their school spirit. And Yearbook meets to document and capture those events for students to take home tonight. There's rehearsal for the school play on the stage. A sports team is most definitely meeting in the gym or down by the track. An equity club is serving up some delicious snacks or a meal in the library. There's always something going on at lunch in our school. And if you have yet to get up to something, there's still a week left to try things out. If you haven't adapted to tuning out the announcements every morning, you'll know that our school has some incredible athletes and teams. My favorite thing about reading the announcements every day was getting to read off the new nicknames dubbed to the student athletes from our coaches. Examples? Logan Stone Cold Slade, Dylan Ramblin' Man Richardson, Megan So Wrong She's Right, Dominic Boom Chicka Boom Chickori, Jake the Snake Carney Hills, the list goes on. We 07s have been a part of many teams over our last 4 years, and some of those teams even went all the way to win a championship. In 2022 to 23, the girls slow pitch and girls hockey teams were district champs. In 23 to 24, the girls curling and girls slow pitch, again, were also district champs. And this year, for back-to-back years, the girls curling and girls slow pitch teams were district champs again, and went on to seal the deal to become Kwasa champs. Sounds like the girls did a lot of winning. Well done. Don't worry, the boys had a lot of fun too. We just didn't do as much winning. Individually though, Peyton Dean won first at Kwasa in running long jump. And now holds the record for Norwell with a jump of 6.55 meters. That's a lot. That's from here all the way to that other podium, pretty much. Maybe not that far, but it's really far. I measured it today, it's a lot. Through the wins and the losses, it's safe to say we have a lot of amazing athletes in this graduating year. Then there are the things we do outside of school that keep our lives even busier on top of homework and other things. I know there are a number of you who just danced in your last recital or acted in your last Theatre Norwell production, and there are many of us who have aged out of minor sports programs. There have been a lot of bittersweet endings and some tears shed, but these are all a sign of the times. We're growing up. Soon we'll move on from high school to post-secondary, home to residence, grilled cheese sandwiches to ham, chutney, and shallots on brioche. A lot of things are coming to an end this year, and although we won't be able to come back next year to be a part of these teams and clubs, there will always be new opportunities, sandwiches, if you will, to try and experience. There are a lot of uncertainties when moving on from one stage in your life to the next, and that leads me to the next part of this sandwich. The cheese on a high school sandwich are the people we've met and the relationships we've made along the way. Although there are a lot of things that are unsure in this time of our lives, cheese is stringy and can stay connected even when pulled apart, just like people. In the coming months, the strength of our friendships will be tested as people are spending all summer working and moving off to school to meet new people. But if we can keep in touch and stay strong together, our connections will only become stronger. In my opinion, cheese is the best part of a sandwich. I know the cheese man Ivan feels the same way, wherever he is over there. I've been lucky enough to feel the same way about the people I've met at Norwell. I've interacted with each of you in the crowd in one way or another through our high school careers. I've known some of you since Minto Clifford in Miss Newman's kindergarten class. Others know me as the kid with golden shoes. Some I have met in the past 4 years. And there have been a number of students that have come and gone in between. Some students have become enemies because of the senior splash and extravaganza. My bad, Chen. I know I'm not the only person who had to eliminate some of their closest friends. Some students have become closer through programs like Best Buddies or the emotional roller coaster that is Theater Norwell. I know we'll all miss the parties where Hessel's dance moves got a little out of control. Like at prom when he time of his life the ceiling decorations to the floor. We'll certainly never forget the Kelp Fight Club or the countless trips to the caf. Shout out to Sonia, the best cafeteria lady we could ask for. I know that none of us want to know how much money we've spent there. It's unhealthy. We've all interacted with each other in some way during our high school career, and creating and establishing relationships with your peers is important, but it's also important to appreciate the connections we've made with our teachers. Without them, we wouldn't be here today. There wouldn't have been any teachable moments with Miss Spencer, no rushing through the halls late to class and Miss Sandar giving you a candy, or hearing Mr. Swenson ask, everyone's favorite time? Question time! There would be no morning greeting by your last name from Mr. Short, no wondering why Radcliffe is wearing sandals with the dogs out in mid-January, nowhere to take your beater for tune-ups without Bridge and Barry, and can you even imagine the haircuts at prom without Crib? No Izzy talks from the highest room in from the highest desk in room 206, about tomorrow's definite snow day, and no clearing the way for Strack as he calmly and leisurely strolls the halls. Those are only a few of the little peccadillos that make our teachers special. But what's more special are the bonds we've developed with them. I know that we all see our teachers as great mentors and role models. And we should all be excited to apply what we've learned from them here out into the real world. My point is that we have known each other through, up to this point, the most influential time in our lives. And the real life relationships and friendships we've made with our classmates and teachers at Norwell will last a lifetime. Just like really old and stinky cheese. Now, the basics of this sandwich are taken care of. Bread, meat, and cheese. Edible, but still pretty plain, you might say. It's original and reliable. You might want to stop there, or you might want to branch out. The last thing to add before we close this sandwich are the toppings. What makes the sandwich yours? What makes it memorable? Lettuce, pickles, onion, mayo, tomato. Those are all acceptable sandwich toppings. But all that really matters is what you want on your sandwich. A sandwich is made special by the sandwich artist that creates it, and your toppings make it a unique and special work of art. The toppings are the music you listen to every day, whether that be Slipknot or Chapel Roan. The style of your clothes, band tees and Converse or pajamas and slippers. Your haircut, buzz cut or dyed red, or both. Some people keep it simple, while others add as much as possible. Either way, your sandwich is perfect because you made it. If you've taken nothing away from this speech but how to make a good sandwich, I want you to remember this. Be proud of what you put on your sandwich and be accepting of what other people put on theirs. Because you don't have to eat their sandwich, only your own. I'll wrap this high school sandwich up for you to go because I know how hungry I'm getting with all this food talk. A sandwich begins and ends with the bread. We came to Norwell focused on our grade 9 classes, and we'll go out writing one more head-pounding exam. So be thankful for all the meats, cheeses, and toppings you've added to the middle of your sandwich before this final piece of bread finishes it off. But keep in mind that there are always more slices left in the loaf for more adventures and experiences in your life. So make as many sandwiches as you can, and load them up with every possible ingredient. And don't be afraid to get them toasted once in a while. Because with sandwiches, much like opportunities and memories, the next one is just waiting to be made. My fellow graduates, Norwell's class of 2025, congratulations. Go where you never thought you'd go and may the sandwich shop of your life be filled with a wealth of delicious sandwiches and endless opportunities.